only have design build,
Right.
design and bid.
Marco, you good?
And see.
I'm good.
There's
Too dumb to
really-
know you
It's
better.
the only
Yeah.
delivery methods we have.
think so.
This
I'm
one's a
living
good
in
one.
blissful
Yeah, you can
ignorance.
do construction manager and you still have to go through the whole process. But this CM at C,
Not
or
all
C, used to
bad.
be called CM at risk.
Okay.
is
How about
a
you?
great process.
Life good?
Yeah. And you can see why.
Andrew,
And you get
Wayne,
to do it for us, and we get to then push the issue with XBEs. So then that percentage and get them out. So that's-
Yeah.
Yeah. And they work with these because they're interested in making money. They're in control. Yeah.
How are you? Sounds good to me though.
Is that close enough?
She's gonna. She's gonna.
Hi, bring the babes.
Yeah. Now we can start moving now.
Why is this special? There's so many.
Oh, I do.
I was
I
like,
do. Good evening. Let's call our meeting to order. If you would stand for a moment of silence, please. All right, the pledge. Do we have any students here for the pledge? Or no? Yes? No? Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, our roll call. Our president is absent tonight. I am present. Dave Heater.
Present.
This is Dr. Bales. Mrs. Barnes Griffin.
present.
Mr. Irvin. Present. Mr. Lowe.
Present.
All right, great, thank you. All right, we're going to have a little slight change in our agenda. We're going to ask our honorable mayor to present first, if you would. Let's welcome Mayor Dan Ridenhour.
Good evening, or good afternoon. Technology is not my thing. I should have tested this first, but I do want to talk to you about the words on here say, I'm going to talk about TIF districts. And there are a couple pieces that were added this morning that are not part of what your package that you may have seen last night or last week. But one of the things that's important to me is the understanding that we have to start paying Peter without robbing Paul. And so you have a very, very school-supportive mayor in office right now. I understand in order for the city to grow and be successful, Muncie Community Schools have to grow and be successful. And I also understand in order for you to recruit the teachers and the students that you want at Muncie Community Schools, the city has to be successful. And so one of the things that we did right off the bat is we started working on quality of place. So in the 2 years and 4 months that I've been in office, we've been focusing on parks, and we've been focusing on how do we make Muncie a place where people want to be, and provide them some additional services that they didn't have. So by the time 2023 comes along, so this year and next year, we will have 5 operating splash pads. And when we took over, there was one not operating, and I just got tired of people having to drive to Daleville to go to a splash pad. So we're going to have 5 in 4 different neighborhoods, and then right downtown at Tui, we fixed that particular splash pad. It had been there, it had been working, but it had been there for a long time, but the concrete had gotten to the point where it was slippery. We had kids fall. We considered it a safety problem. We shut it down. But we've resurfaced that. If you go by, you'll notice that it's got a blue surface on there now that will give more grip. And so this year we'll have 3 splash pads open. We're opening up a 4th at Riverview. We're opening up a 5th next year at Thomas Park. And so the northeast, northwest, southeast, and southwest, plus the center of town will all have splash pads, which are free for our residents. And I feel like that's important. We've also done a number of major upgrades to our parks. Now, the parks don't have anything to do with TIF districts, and I'm going to talk about that just a little bit. But I will tell you, when I say a school-supportive mayor, I'm going to tell you right now that we have already put in a number of projects where we have paid cash as incentives for businesses or cash as incentives to do infrastructure, where in the past, there might have been, those probably would have been placed inside TIF districts. And what that will amount to is a child born this year, and by the time they're 18, you will see increased revenue, not the schools only, because part of this revenue will come to our general fund, which I need as well, but you will see $6.2 million worth of revenue not going to the TIF district, but going to our general fund and our community schools. That was by conscious choice. That is a focus of mine. There doesn't mean we're not doing projects inside TIF districts, but I understand that we are a partnership. And for the schools to grow, we have to be a good city. For the city to grow, we have to have a successful and a growing school. So my focus has been a partnership, and I do believe that I'm very, very supportive, and hopefully you will feel the same way. So let's get started. So how many of you, just by a show of hands, are 100% certain you know what a TIF district is? Oh, we've got 6 or 7. That's great. Tax increment financing is that's what TIF stands for, TIF. That's what it stands for. I'm not going to go into all these details, but what we found on our boards, and they're volunteer boards for various organizations, a lot of people were not 100% comfortable with what it meant to put something in a TIF. I knew what it meant, but we discovered, and I give a lot of credit to Jeff Howell, who put this idea together, but we had a meeting last night, a training session, over 2 hours last night, at the hotel in one of their meeting rooms, where we discussed not only TIF, but all the different financing options that are available and incentives that are offered to businesses, and how we can use all of those to bring businesses here. But what the TIF does essentially, and I'm just going to use, I always talk with my hands, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So what a TIF district does is if you're taking an area, we'll just take Gilman's. Does anybody know where Gilman's is going at 29th and Madison? Okay. So had we put that in a TIF district, the county auditor would have said, here's what it's assessed for now. I think it was $220,000. Well, they're going to build a $2 million building, and they're going to put in $1.5 million worth of inventory. And so the value of that down the road will be, we'll just say 3.7 million. It's currently 220,000. By putting it in a TIF district, the $220,000 is revenue that our general fund, which pays our employees, the cities, and the school district, and the libraries, and the center township, and the other entities that share those dollars, they would continue to receive on that $220,000 assessed value, but they wouldn't participate in that increased value. That would all go to the Muncie Redevelopment Commission. Now, it would be fun for me and the Muncie Redevelopment, because I'm the economic development officer for the city. I was able to appoint that position. I appointed myself that officer. I feel like it's important for the mayor to be the one helping make those decisions. So I made a decision that I don't want us to control those extra funds. I would prefer that the general fund, which is council-driven, and the schools participate in some of that growth. And we were able to structure transactions with Gilman's and with several other transactions that I'm going to talk about in such a way that we didn't need to put those in a TIF district. So the important part is that means increased tax revenue. And it will, in 18 years, it should be about $6.2 million. So I'm not going to go into all these details. And this was not part of your original presentation, most likely. So this kind of explains the gold part at the bottom is the base assessed value, and that's when I said $220,000 is what that property was worth for the previous taxes. But as that value goes up, all that money would go to the Muncie Redevelopment Commission, which means I can't pay police and fire with those increased taxes. It means I can't pay city employees, my controller office, or any departments. I can't do streets. I can't do any of that. So my goal is how do I increase the general fund? And I know that if I do it by not putting in a TIF district, it helps the Muncie Community Schools. And since we are connected, no doubt in my mind we are connected, I felt that was a priority of mine. So this is how this works. And then at the end of the period of time, a certain period of time, the TIF district falls off. And then all those revenues will then go back to the original entities again. But that's way down the road. That's way down the road. But it's important to understand what my thinking is and what we're trying to accomplish here. We have to set up allocation areas, and on 6 different projects that I'm going to share with you, we decided not to put them inside an allocation area. And that means that those particular projects are going to generate additional revenues for you at Muncie Community Schools and for us in the general fund and for the library and the other entities that need those funds. So it's just a conscious choice on my part and a way that we're trying to handle things. So these are the 6 different projects totaling about $45 million, and not one of them did we put in a TIF district, but most administrations in the past, and most cities. I've had some city mayors that have talked to me and they said, you're crazy, because they like to have these funds to use for other things, but I understand, in my mind, the greater good is how do we help the schools and our general fund. So Storer Estates, that's roughly what, when those 34 lots where the former Storer Elementary School was, that was torn down, and now construction is, it hasn't started, but they've started to stage the area. It should start in the next week or two. We're going to be putting in 34 single-family lots and a new park. The assessed value will be about $11 million once all those homes are built. And all those tax revenues are purposely not put in a TIF district. City View Homes, actually, I'm going to skip to this one. City View Homes, we worked with a developer. So what the Muncie Redevelopment Commission's job has been is to eliminate blight. And it continues to be. One of the ways that happens is the Redevelopment Commission determines a property that needs to be torn down. acquires that property, sometimes through tax sale, sometimes through other means, but gets that property, tears the property down, and then looks to sell it and get it back onto the tax rolls. Well, what we did is we've got about 80 lots that we sold off to a developer in City 1 and City 2. Those are City View 1 and City View 2 are both the same developer out of Cincinnati, Ohio. And they're going to build what amounts to about 84 new housing units on primarily on the south side. But it'll cover the Blaine Southeast neighborhood, the Industry neighborhood, the South Central neighborhood, the Thomas Park Avondale neighborhood, and a little bit in the Old West End neighborhood. So we're going to have new homes built in our city, which is also important. But those tax revenues, we purposely kept both of those two projects out of a TIF district so that those tax revenues benefit the Muncie Community Schools and they benefit the city's general fund. The former jail facility downtown, the county offered to give us that building. They were going to tear it down, and they said you can find a new developer. And I said, well, that's great, but I'll tell you what I'd prefer. I asked, how much is it going to be to tear down the building? And they said their initial estimates were about $500,000. And I said, would you do me a favor? Would you please pave $500,000 with the streets inside the city of Muncie, which they did near the hotels, near Walmart, all that area? That paid for some of that construction, or some of that paving. And I said, we'll just take the building as is. And I looked for and found a developer who is a for-profit, so they will start paying taxes, that is turning those into condos. So that should be worth about $4.3 million when it's said and done. The markets on Madison, parentheses, Southway Plaza, anybody heard of that? Okay, so we got a Seattle developer to come into town. They said they can no longer compete on a national or international basis if they continue to expand in Seattle, Washington, because the salaries are so high, they can't compete. Their bids are out of whack. And so they need to move to the Midwest. They picked Muncie. We've worked with them. They're going to have 50 IT jobs open up in that Southway Plaza, so they're going to take about 15,000 square feet for their particular business. And then we're working at upgrading that shopping center, and we purposely did not put that inside a TIF district so that those tax revenues benefit the schools and the city long term. And then Gilman's was another one, and that one you can see is under construction. And that's just for the exterior building. But altogether, there's about $45 million worth of properties to where we are going to pay Peter, which is the school system. Or well, actually, we're going to pay, Peter is us. Peter is the general fund. We're going to pay the general fund without robbing it from Paul, which is Muncie Community Schools. That is my purpose. That's what we're doing, and that's why we're doing it, because I know I need to be a good partner with our school system. So I'm just going to touch base. I think you know what these projects are, but this is Storer Estates. We're really excited. Builders are really excited. I met with some realtors today. I was at one of their sales meetings, and they're saying, how soon can we get these lots? How soon? And I said, I don't even have the streets in yet. So let's at least get the streets in first. But we will have 34 lots, and the builders are excited, and the realtors are excited about adding those good middle-class lots to our community. And we're also adding, as you can see, a park. And how many, just by a show of hands, because I can't raise my hand on this question, but how many of you have played pickleball? 2 of you. You're going to have to show the rest of us, because apparently it's the greatest thing. But we are putting in 2 pickleball. That's what the neighborhood wanted. It'll have 4 square. There's a playground, and some great, absolutely tremendous walking paths will be around that. We're building a retention pond, and it's a dry bed one. We're going to have some walking paths in the middle of it, so when it's not wet, you can walk down through there. It's going to connect Johnson Woods. It's going to connect all kinds of other areas, and it'll cross over to Brook as well. So we're real excited about the walking paths in this particular area. Will be fantastic. City View 1 and 2, that just kind of shows where some of the locations are, primarily on the south side. And, you know, you can see we're going to have at least 10 that'll be in the south side neighborhood, 10 in the Thomas Park Avondale neighborhood, 17 and some of the other neighborhoods, and we're real excited about that. And we purposely didn't put them in a TIF district. And then that's roughly what the condos will look like. Although I think they've adjusted a little bit more. So what's pretty cool about it is they're getting people calling them, and it's really an open book right now. So if somebody's in, and I understand between 5 and 7 have been sold, and you get to design your own. So that's pretty cool. And a lot of people want to live downtown, and what we're finding is several of the people who have had an interest are people who are going to downsize from, their kids are gone. They don't want to leave the community. A couple dentists, in fact, are going to move to these downtown condos, and we're real excited to have these available. But we did not put these in a TIF district, which means we'll have those revenues for us going forward. Oh, it also has parking. It has some parking, but that's another part of it. The Markets on Madison, does that look like the parking lot now? It doesn't. The parking lot now is a concrete jungle. I don't think there's one tree. We're going to put through my 1,000 trees in 1,000 days program about 178 trees in that parking lot. It's going to be very green. It'll be great at the entrance to our city. They have leased, I don't know, just under 30,000 square feet of new tenants that are coming in. And I meet with somebody next week about another one. And so we're continuing to try and do that. But again, we're trying to do everything to pay Peter without robbing Paul. And then Gilman's. That's not the actual Gilman's that's going to go up. That's from one of their other locations. But that's roughly what it will look like. So I'm proud of what we're trying to do. The main thing I'm trying to accomplish is how do we be a great partner for the city of, how does the city of Muncie be a great partner with Muncie Community Schools? And I know we're participating financially with one of your other programs, the Family Navigators. So we've got a 3-year commitment on that as well. We are, and I am as mayor, a friend to Muncie Community Schools and understand the value of building up the schools and how that helps build up the city, which is my responsibility as mayor to build up the city. But I understand the long term, and I'm real excited to be able to say that about $6.2 million, I believe, will be the tax revenue that will be part you, part us, and part other entities. And I'm really pleased about that. So I think the last one just has yeah. So are there any questions that I can help with?
Let me comment. I attended that training session last night. It was phenomenal. The information that was shared with us, both by Matt Eckerly from Baker Tilly on the TIF. We need to get a copy of that presentation. It was...
I promised that to you. I didn't get it to you yet.
Great information. And then Tracy Lutton did a great presentation on her own for economic development. And then Rich Ivy got up and talked about industrial revolving loan fund, but it was phenomenal information. I think you all would benefit from seeing those 2 presentations. So it was well done. I mean, it was really good information. The other thing is, I should add is, as your representative to the MRC, I am impressed every time I go to these meetings, monthly meetings, because the mayor comes in with just, wow, just blows us away with the development that's going on in Muncie. So kudos to you for what you're doing for the Muncie community. It's wonderful things. Wonderful.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And I tell you, it's taken a lot of different boards, and sometimes you need $1 million to make it work, and some of it's edit funds, and some of it's MRC, and some of it's another fund, and some of it's revolving loan fund. But we've done everything we can to make these 6 projects, at least for now, these 6 projects stay out of a TIF district so that we're not borrowing and leveraging a positive way to make these things happen. So we're excited. Any other questions?
Excellent.
I just wanted to comment. Early on, I had conversations with some of our General Assembly, specifically Speaker Houston, because Brad shared with me, he said, Leanne, our operating fund, we're supposed to give out $20 million by the time we have property tax caps, and with TIF districts, we get about $10 million. So, I mean, that has to cover all of our operations. So that puts Muncie Community Schools at a disadvantage right away. And so I had that conversation and he said, start with your mayor. So we had a conversation and you said, I understand this because I'm in the same place with my operating fund. And so I greatly appreciate that with these new projects, you found ways to keep them out of the TIF districts, because that is going to help us, dramatically with our budget in the future. And so we really appreciate that. We also know that you've contributed to our family navigators for us to be able to hire social workers to be in several of our schools. And with your support, we're able to pay their salaries. And we are already hearing good reports of the number of students who are getting multiple services because of them being in our schools. So thank you for your support in Muncie Community Schools.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments?
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all.
East Washington Academy, Mrs. Anglin,
Hey,
you're on.
I'm on. Okay, so I have two things that I want to start with because at the end of the day, my work is nothing but for our students. So the first thing that I have is a few handwritten thank you notes for the board's investment in our building project. It's a highlight that I'm going to share, but it is truly changing the lives of our students to have walls, to have just a tremendous amount of updates to affect their safety and learning experience. And so in the words of our students, and it took everything in me not to make edits, so there's I'm giving it to you just how they did it. So we have an ARE instead of an OUR, but that's okay, we're learning. So I will just leave these with the board to be able to take through. And again, from the students themselves, we just can't thank you enough for your investment. So these will be here. The second thing is, I think before you hear from me, you should get to meet some of our incredible students. So I have two of our 5th grade students who can come up and have a chance to share a little bit about what it has meant to be a student at East Washington Academy, to share a little bit about the memories that they've cherished, and also, because we learned what boards do, to provide an idea for you to consider for them moving into middle school. Both of our students will be here transitioning into our North Side Middle School campus. So we are so excited for that transition. And if you could join me, we know public speaking can be nerve-wracking even for adults. So if you could join me in a warm welcome for our East Washington Academy students.
Hi.
Hello. Hi.
My name is Carter Heineman. I'm a 5th grader at EWA, and I've really enjoyed my time there in elementary school. I have 5 memories that I really like. And my first one is our field trips that we've done over the years. So in some of them, we went to the Newport Aquarium, and in another, we went to Corinth, the one-room schoolhouse. And I really like those because we get to learn lots of cool stuff about there. And my second favorite memory is the after-school activities. I love doing a theater club with my teacher, Miss Finn. And I also like doing the John Frank Football League. And I really like doing those because those just give me something to do after school. My third memory is I really like how everyone at school is just so nice in general. Like, you can walk up to someone and say hi, and like 3 seconds later, you'll be their best friend. Hi. And then my fourth favorite memory is I like to go to school with my mom. My brothers go too, but I'm not sure that's my favorite part. And my fifth favorite memory is just celebrating excellence. I like how we get to show off our projects every year and everything that we've done. I recently visited Northside, and I plan to go to school there next year. And I met my teachers and toured the school. I'm excited for next year. I hope Mr. Grimm will help me start a Northside Middle School tennis team, and I think I found a coach. Thank you.
Excellent.
Hi, I'm Amaris Anderson, and I'm in the 5th grade at EWA. My favorite memories at EWA are just it being so easy to make friends, because you can, like Carter said, you can go up to someone and then you'll be best friends with them 3 seconds later. And the cool thing is, when you approach someone, they're not going to be rude to you. They're just going to be more of like friendly, because it's a school. I feel like almost everybody in the school feels safe, because if you don't feel safe in school, you're usually going to approach people not as well. And so I also had an experience where I left my East Washington to go to school with my little brother, and I realized how important EWA was to me, because I really missed it a lot. And I miss my friends, I miss my teachers, and now I'm back at EWA, and I have something to say about middle school. I think that for Northside, or any middle school really, that they could have like a program where you could just like start to try before school. You could try all like the clubs, the sports, so you could get a feel for everything, and then when you actually go in school, you'll know what you like, and you can join it. Yeah.
So I'm so proud of our students. We did a little bit of practice earlier today, but to recap, we are all rooting for a middle school tennis team and a preview day in the summer where middle schoolers might learn about all of the different camps and clubs and sports and extracurriculars, so that they get plugged in right away to things that they might be excited in and able to make those social connections. So those are some authentic ideas shared by our students. So great job, everybody.
Excellent.
So what I hope to share is a bit of an update where we have prioritized our focus this year. And then I also want to come back to some goals we'd set at the end of last year, and then share an update on where we are towards those goals currently. And then as we look into the future, what our next steps will be. So just to remember sort of what is the most important thing about East Washington Academy, I continue to come back to this sign where in a world where we can be anything, we can be kind. And I think that you heard from our students that sense of community, school being a safe, calm, predictable, welcoming place is foundational for our success now and into the future. More specifically, academically, we have been laser-like focused on ELA, which is a combination of both reading and writing. Usually students help me with this piece, so here we go. So as part of our writing initiative, and just to frame the why behind that, our state assessment is called iLearn, and 33 to 41% of that assessment is based on writing. So when we dig a little bit more deeply into improving our ELA scores, we wanted to really disaggregate where we need to focus, and writing was a piece that stood out to me last year in my first year here at school. So last year, I spent a lot of time my first year just seeing where we were and observing, so that then we knew how to action plan moving forward. I'm really proud to share that we have really taken some great strides in just 1 year. We have developed common rubrics to establish a common language across each grade level, and to really ensure that we are using language from a kindergarten classroom up to a 5th grade, and just building each year upon that. From those common rubrics, we're able to develop more consistent grade level expectations that increase over the course of each year. We also, as an instructional leadership team, develop school-wide writing norms that are really those non-negotiable practices that we want to see in every writing lesson across our entire building, irregardless of grade level. We also created a framework schedule where we rotated through the different styles of writing. And at the end of each writing style, students completed a writing prompt, even starting in kindergarten, where our prompt might simply be pictures, where we tell the story through pictures. But through that focus, we were able to ensure that all of our students are exposed to all the different styles of writing that they'll see moving into their third, fourth, fifth grade and beyond years. And then finally, we continue to ensure that we are carving away time in our daily schedule for focused writing, because again, 33 to 41% of that assessment is really writing focused. This is a snapshot of one of our fifth grade classrooms. Actually, these two might be in that photo, just having discussion about that writing. Building construction, it has been a wonderful project that we have undertaken since winter break. And we continue to flow through. And so just this past week, we moved into our final phase of building construction. It has certainly come with figuring out a lot of logistics and coordination with multiple entities. I feel so thankful to be supported by Dr. Bell, who has sat in and been in many meetings with me and coordinating so much even behind the scenes that I'm not a part of. So we are moving through and in a really wonderful place to be on track with our building renovation before the end of the summer. To help involve our students, we have a couple of really exciting things coming up. The first thing is we're going to be creating murals based on temporary wooden walls that have been created throughout our space. Then we're going to be using that to create permanent artwork to go into our cafeteria and some common areas. So students will authentically be a part of our space moving into the future. The second piece that is extremely important to me is that we do, and by we, I do a better job of exposing elementary age students to all of their college and career pathways in the future. To that end, it's going to start this May, where we are going to be having presentations with all of the trade partners involved in construction to share more from an architect to a project manager. Students will learn about all the different careers that go into construction, and they'll be a part of those presentations in May. As our students shared, we are really excited to pick back up with the Celebrate Excellence event. This really showcases our high ability program and all of the tremendous hard work and projects our students do as part of that. It will be May 12th at the BSU Ball State Alumni Center, so I encourage you to come by if you're able, and we'll certainly share more information closer to that date. Again, it's a chance to showcase our students' work. In that same vein, I have worked to develop a strategic plan for our high ability program. So with that, we want to really determine as a school strategic priorities to both grow and strengthen our program. So that involves teacher input, that involves community input, parental input, and with that, I'm really excited to see us continue to strengthen and highlight this tremendous programming at our school. Another big initiative is, as I listened to staff last year, one of the overarching concerns is to continue to think about how to develop positive interventions for chronic discipline challenges, or how to figure out how to best support students who might have additional challenges. So as Dr. Kay shared, the addition of the Family Navigator position has been just truly a blessing and something we're so thankful to have. Additionally, I created a committee that includes representation of lower elementary teachers, upper elementary teachers, our school counselor, specials teachers representation, because any school-wide system needs to work for everyone involved. And so as a committee, we have been meeting to really develop a framework to develop systems to positively reinforce and recognize students making great choices. It's completely centered around a team approach. Most things that I think about harken back to athletics in some fashion. And so students will all be a part of teams. We will have a chance to really develop that sense of teamwork with each other. So we are so excited to share these updates moving into next year. my final track star has arrived. So Tycho will finish up my presentation here at the end. And so finally, this is what I wanted to kind of come back to is in the darker font, I included all the goals that I shared with you last year at our board presentation. I tried to highlight the actionable steps that we've taken to address those goals. But then on the left, I shared our goals moving into next year. There is nothing greatly different or new that we need to do. I think we have a strong pathway for moving forward. It's just continuing to strengthen and take those next steps and continue to build out the systems that are going to create the biggest impact of change in our building. We'll continue to remain laser-like focused on reading, writing, and continuing to build a really strong student culture. At the same time, we're excited to implement a new math curriculum and know that will also be a priority for us moving into the upcoming year. So with that, that concludes the end of my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And again, we'll close here by hearing from one of our final students here. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have one quick question. Could
Sure.
you expand a little bit on this year we began differentiating teacher coaching and development? A little bit broader explanation of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a structure called an instructional leadership team that's comprised of a master teacher and mentors. The master teacher doesn't have any teaching responsibilities, but is a primary support for teachers with coaching and modeling strategies and leading professional development. So we created what we call a new teacher cohort. And we really identified, if you're a new teacher to the classroom, what are your most pressing needs? And we developed an 8-week PD session from teachers across all grade levels who were new to the profession and had common challenges. And so a book study led us through a weekly action plan together. And then we created a structure afterwards to make sure we were providing that follow-up support. We also then looked at our observation notes to then figure out, if I'm a third-year teacher, what do I need to make sure I'm continuing to grow in the profession? So then our 2 mentor teachers created differentiated professional learning communities beyond the weekly grade level meetings to really target additional staff who had the same common areas of needing support. So essentially what that looks like at East Washington Academy is we meet once a week as a grade level. Through those meetings, there's typically an overarching common concern that we're working to address that's a school-wide trend or just an area we know that we want to prioritize. But then we tried to take that a step further and then group our teachers, much like we might group students in a classroom who have a common area of need, and develop differentiated support to meet those different needs.
Excellent. This is terrific. Thank you.
Are you seeing improvement in your quarterly, like, writing prompts? Has that?
Oh, yes. I wish maybe next year, not to bore you, I could bring in writing samples because that's just something that makes me feel really excited to see. But just to develop a culture where we're writers and our voice matters. And the progress that we've seen with the kids has been tremendous. So much so that they're asking, I get many of the prompt response. So when we all did the persuasive unit, a lot of students really thought, I'm going to write to the principal about what I want to persuade her to do. So I had a lot of student responses, everything from a flavored water day to you name it, responses. And so they're truly writing for an authentic audience. And I think by having our entire school flow through the same type of writing provides that common focus, whether informational or narrative or persuasive. But the progress has been tremendous. We're not where we need to be yet, but I think we've made great strides. And so we'll just continue on that pathway for next year.
I have a quick question about the common rubrics that you established. I know that you created those just for East Washington, but I'm curious if your master teachers thought about sharing those with other schools, so they don't recreate the wheel, since we're all going to need to work on writing.
Yeah, absolutely. I frequently am kind of in communication with different principals, and then our master teacher has a chance to attend collaborative meetings. And so we certainly, I think I always feel a sense of pride that we're not this is our first year, so it's maybe not perfection yet. So I want to make sure that anything that we share, I have just such a high bar for making it be excellent. So it still feels like it's not exactly excellent yet, but we're always happy to share where we are now, and I certainly anticipate it will get even better and more fine-tuned moving into the future, but we're always happy to share. We're just going to continue to tweak and make it even better.
Awesome. And you can tell all your writers that my email is on the website if they need somebody to write to. I'll respond.
Oh my, you're gonna you're gonna get a lot. They've learned how to share their Google Docs too. Wherever Steve is, we love the one-to-one technology and Dr. Harvey. But they've learned how to email things and share, and even they enjoy comments back and forth, and so I appreciate the offer. Our next persuasive unit, you'll get a lot of things.
Yeah. Well, the two that they brought tonight, that's good stuff. So they've got some ideas. We want to hear it.
Yes.
Excellent, excellent.
Yes, sir.
More of a comment. I just want to commend everyone involved in using the construction project as a learning tool.
Yeah.
What a great thing. I mean, kids may learn about, the architecture, the building and all that, but there's English, math,
Absolutely.
teamwork. It's all the kinds of things, and it's a big project that kids will be fascinated with. And so I think that's terrific. I had never heard of that or thought of that, but I think that's a wonderful thing.
Thank you. That's something that our project manager, Rob, and the kids affectionately call him Rob the Builder instead of Bob the Builder. I hope the first grade class came up with that name. But we just continue to think about where this is an opportunity for our students to learn. And there are so many different jobs that go into the construction that could suit so many different kids' interests that we're really excited to build out these presentations coming into May to learn about that diversity of career fields and really to help our kids make those connections between what we're doing in school and their potential future pathways. So I certainly appreciate the investment of time that all of those trade partners are going to give to our school.
Well, we thank you for your appreciation of us in terms of the walls going up. Anything else that we can do to help you in any way as a board?
Oh, the building was really a dream request, and so I just feel incredibly thankful for that investment. Our students, again, are so incredibly thankful. So that should keep us going for quite a while at East Washington. Thank you. That has just been an incredible investment. And there's always many ways to spend resources. So to spend them on our students is just greatly appreciated.
That's great. We have one more.
Our last student is named Tycho. So today was very exciting. We had our first track meet. We had a math bowl competition at Yorktown Elementary. We continued to have our theater club. So our fifth graders were in hot demand with all their activities. So thank you to all the families who made that investment of time coming. And I'm going to, again, allow Tycho to introduce himself, share a little bit about East Washington Academy, and if he has an idea to share moving into middle school next year.
Okay. As she said, my name was Tycho Hollowell, and I'm a fifth grader at East Washington Academy, and it has been busy, but it's also been really fun and at EWA, and I really hope it's fun at middle school too, because I want it to be the exact same as EWA. And I've almost been at EWA for 6 years. I've been here since kindergarten, and there's this one kid in my class who I've always been with, and he has never not been in the same class as me. And as we progressed through each year, he gained more friends and I gained more friends, and we all became basically a big squad of friends, and it was very fun. And I am involved with a lot of sports at East Washington Academy, and it's really fun because our coaches are very nice to the teams, and I don't know about all the sports, but I know about a few of them, and I love all the coaches and playing the sports. And I think that maybe in middle school, you should give the sixth graders a chance to sign up and go back to their old school to see what it's like since they've left. And that's it.
It's a good idea.
I'm going to put Taiko on the spot just because I get to see him in action a lot. He plays a lot of the same sports as my son, and he is an exceptional athlete. So remember this, young man, but more so important than that, he has the best sportsmanship I have ever seen in an elementary kid. It's amazing to watch. He's such a fun kid to watch.
Everybody knows Tycho.
Thank you so much for your time.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, it's time for CEO comments. Dr. K.
Thank you. This week, registration opened. Monday night, we had schools open where families could go and register, and families can stop by schools any day that they're open, and we'll have people to assist. We've received positive feedback from returning families on how much simpler the process is this year. So for Brittany and Watasha, as you re-register your kids, let me know if it's easier this year than in the past. So that was our goal. We also this week, on Thursday, have our pre-K fair from 4 to 6 o'clock at the Field House. And I really have to acknowledge Dr. Dia Bell, for all of her effort to get that arranged and ready to go. And so thank you for that. Yesterday, I had a great morning at Westview. John Quiones, national news correspondent from ABC and host of What Would You Do, visited Westview. Some of the students were worried that there was a hidden camera and we may end up on the show, but he promised us that that wasn't the case. But we had about 15 students who were prepared with questions, and they were various ages. But what was most impressive to me was after he responded, and based on his response, students had wonderful follow-up questions for him. So it was just a great experience for everybody. And he didn't want to leave. Ball State, we have to thank Ball State for arranging and getting him to Westview. But they kept giving him the sign, and he ignored it. So he ignored it for probably 20 minutes, so he threw off their whole timeline. Last week, I was invited to participate in a WebEx with Deputy Secretary Martin, who's with the U.S. Department of Education. And so I thought that there was going to be, like tons of people on this WebEx. And I was ready to, do a little multitasking when I was on the call, only to find out that there were very few people. And she really wanted to hear, needs of school districts, use of federal funds, different ideas moving forward. So I just felt very honored that I was able to participate and represent Muncie on that call. Several of us attended the National School Board Association Conference of Keith and Watasha, Jim and I, and it really was an excellent conference. To me, being able to spend time with board members was just as valuable as many of the sessions I attended, but I know we all left with many notes and many ideas, and we'll be having a working session where we'll be able to work as a board with some of those ideas and continue making Muncie Community Schools the very best place that we can. Brittany shared with me, she was at the elementary track meet tonight, and she just reported we just had tons of parents, lots of support. So again, it's great to see how many people are supporting our students and our schools. And then the last thing I wanted to share it's really personal with our board chair, Jim Williams. Many of you know that he had a medical procedure today, and I heard from his wife, and he's doing really well. And so we will all keep him in our thoughts and prayers, and he'll be out for a short time. I promised him that we would carry on and we would keep this district in good shape, and so I'm confident we'll be able to do that. Thank you, Keith.
Thank you. Any questions for Dr. K at all? Okay, I don't think we have any public comments tonight. Moving on to the consent agenda. This is a couple of things that I wanted to maybe mention as a part. Let's see if I can find my notes here. Oh, great. As a part of the personnel portion, we have some teachers that are retiring. Terry Beatty is retiring with 26 years of service. Brenda Cribbs, 41 years. Appreciate her. And Hannah Wechter, 28 years, Latin teacher. So we thank them for their service for this amount of time. Just a couple of other things. Oh, okay, cool. Well, let's do that now. JD Kraft, I think, is here. Come on up. He's taking on a new role at Southside. Just say something good.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. I feel extremely blessed for this opportunity. While I was teaching, I started my teaching career at Southside Middle School, and it just took a couple years for me to realize that I wanted to lead on a grander scale. And so going back to school and earning the credentials that I needed to do so, I've been eagerly waiting on this opportunity. I've bent Dr. Reynolds' ear several times about this throughout the years, and I'm just super excited. This being one of my major goals throughout the last 5 or 6 years to get to this point, I just want to be very clear that this isn't a finish line for me. I feel like this is the starting line. And so I'm excited to get to work and looking forward to bringing excellence to Southside Middle School. So thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm thankful. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Also, Dr. Diabelle is here, and she's going to be taking on a new role. You got something to say tonight? You want to? Hey, you better grab it when you can.
I don't know, those that work with me are like, don't give her the mic, don't give her the mic.
Hey, that's my world. Just stay.
Just good evening, everyone, and just with 31, 32 years with Muncie Schools, I feel honored to be able to move and continue to grow and move within the district. I know, my feet are bigger, but Dylan's shoes are large to fill. And so I have the opportunity to, learn from her. It's different responsibilities, but I know a lot of the people, and I'm pretty open and direct and very committed to Muncie Schools. And so I look forward to learning more and doing more and working with everybody. So I appreciate the confidence in me to move to this next level. So thank you.
Right, thank you. And last but not least, I was going to put the doctor on you. Go ahead. Rhonda Ward. Ms. Ward is going to say a few words. She's moving to the Career Center and multitasking and doing a bunch of stuff.
Yes, good evening, everyone. And I too am very, very grateful and feel very, very blessed to have another opportunity to continue serving in the district in a different capacity. I've been at Central High School for the last 8 years, serving as assistant principal, and as you know, the last 2 as director of diversity. And so I am looking forward to the new role and learning more about the MAC and the programs that it has to offer. I met briefly with Caleb and already have a couple of ideas that I can't wait to try and implement, but I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity and looking forward to serving in this capacity and moving MCS forward. So thank you so much. Long time coming.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, just a couple of things with the donations. $29,091 of donations that are in your consent agenda packet. I wanted to just highlight that. That's outstanding. All right, well, I'll entertain a motion for the consent agenda. If there are.
Move for approval.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, thank you very much. Consent agenda is approved. Dr. Reynolds.
Yes, Dr. O'Neill, thank you. I'm asking for review and approval tonight of the 2022-2023 Student and Family Handbook. As you know, a few years ago, we did a pretty heavy overhaul of the handbooks, consolidating the preschool, elementary, middle school, high school, and the Career Center handbooks into one student and family guide. Tried to frame it in a positive behavior approach and a restorative approach, and have seen some good successes from that. We do have some changes that's highlighted in your summaries page, some of which are the pictures and dates and times, but and then just trying to clean up some language and maybe clarify some language from our committee work that we've been doing. I think the biggest change of note is a restorative practice to attendance. As we met, we had discussion about attendance, which is a concern for a lot of our folks, and how can we better address that? So we looked at the handbook and realized it was pretty punitive in the verbiage, which all of that is still in there. I mean, there are expectations for students to have 95% attendance and definitions of truancy, all those things. But we needed some sort of restorative practice, and you'll find that in that center of the summary page. But we wanted some sort of restorative practice to try to get our students and more importantly our families of our students back on track to get them into school and to improve their education. So again, I'm asking for approval this evening for the 2022-2023 Student and Family Support Guide.
Thank you. Have a motion? Have a question?
Don't shoot me. I have a favor, question, request, however you want to phrase it. If we could maybe table this until we have some students look at it. I noticed there weren't any students on the committee, and in the last year, I've had several students approach me about, I know in the grand scheme of things, it's not a big deal to the adults in the world, but about the dress code. So I didn't know if maybe we could get some student input, at least on that section of the handbook, to try to maybe bring it a little more into the 21st century and just get some feedback. I know it's going to be controversial, but I would really like to hear from some kiddos on some of these things, attendance, dress code, some of those things that directly impact them. I know they don't care about most of the stuff in the handbook, but most of this stuff is directly affecting them. So I think it'd be really great if we could beg the student advisory committee maybe for another.
That's going to be in our report.
Okay.
Sorry, we didn't make it for that.
I didn't think about this until just this moment. So I didn't know if maybe we could table it. I don't know if this is something we need to get done this academic year.
It is part of the enrollment process, so the handbook is attached. So right now we just have we have the older handbook. So again, not a lot of substantive changes in the book, but.
Well, what about if this went through knowing we are going to possibly amend the dress code? If that's a part students are going to review.
We could bring back amendment.
And then we can get out to our families that this part has been amended. That way, when families are registering, they're seeing what's going to be there for next year.
Yep.
And then, does that sound okay?
Yeah, I'll make that motion that we approve this with the caveat that, and Brittany, if you have any other sections you think in particular the students should review, that we at least address those between now and the end of the year. We can re-communicate if there's any changes.
And I think that what we've learned then next year moving forward, we'll always have the committee, and then we'll have like the student advisory council or somebody at the school to make sure we get student voice too.
I'll second that.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Good suggestion.
All right, yeah, that's excellent. All right, the financial report, Mr. Jerome.
Thank you. Before I start the financial report, I'd just like to say for the EWA project with Sarah and Dr. Bell, I know that you're out there. I was there today for a construction update meeting. We've been doing these every 2 weeks. Sarah and Dr. Bell have been very flexible. in their building with their kids, their students, their teachers, as well as their staff and parents at the end of the day, because when you have construction in a building, you have to be flexible. So they're doing great. And Rob the builder, that's great. So anyway, and we're getting ready to duplicate that process down at Southview Elementary as well. So anyway, financial report, it's actual results in your board packet there for the month of March. That represents 3 months of actual results. We're still on target with our expected state basic grant revenue that we're receiving every month. Still expecting right now to receive over 12 months about $41.7 million in revenue. That will probably, within another week, we'll get an updated revenue forecast from the state of Indiana because of our February enrollment count. So we'll see how much that might fluctuate, because our enrollment count was down 29 students at February. So for the most part, though, great financial results again. Our overall checkbook balance and the total funds was over $35.6 million for total funds. Just looking at the education fund balance, that was over $16 million, and still continuing to pay the $50,000 a month on the school loan outstanding to the state of Indiana, and we still have over $12 million in our rainy day fund. So that is a brief snapshot for the month of March, and still expecting to be in a surplus position at the end of this calendar year.
Excellent. Any questions for Mr. Jerome?
The loan you said is $50,000 a month, is that what you said?
I'm sorry?
The loan, $50,000 a month?
Yeah, it's $50,000 a month. And then by the end of 2028, it's backloaded. It becomes a lot higher. And of course, our plan would be about 2023, next year, we'll flip and start paying that loan out of the rainy day fund. And that way, you're not taking any impact whatsoever out of the education fund. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Computrol?
Yes, thank you. Unfortunately, you have me for about five items in a row.
Yeah, I'll just let you, just go ahead and handle it. There you go.
The Computrol software upgrade, we're presented with this opportunity to fund this software upgrade for Computrol. It's really the backbone of our administration accounting software, as well as what we'll use at the building level as well for their accounting software. This allows us to upgrade to web-based software with Computrol. They're based in Daleville, Indiana. We can pay it with our ESSER funds, so this really is such a benefit for us. It allows us to migrate off of a DOS-based green screen system, for anyone who still remembers a DOS-based system, which we all probably do, some of us, except maybe there's a few people that don't. But anyway, DOS is a disk operating system that greatly enhanced by moving to a web-based version. What we're doing here is just presenting this to the board for approval. It's over $50,000. It's $150,000 is what it is. And this will take us through year number 4. So just looking for a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Yeah, after this initial purchase, then it would come out of our operation fund, which that's where the licensing comes out of the system now when they bill us. So.
And isn't it right now more to get it switched over, and then it's a little bit less as you go on?
Right, that's correct.
And so that is helping us be able to afford that.
Second.
It's moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Keep rolling.
Keep going. The next item in your board packet was the pandemic stipend, permission to pay stipends, and this is included in your packet. And I'll just pitch it over to Dave Heater.
Thank you, Brad. And I represent the compensation committee this year, which is made up of Keith and Mark and myself. And Dr. K. The recommendation was made to pay a stipend of $1,000 to all full-time staff, including teachers as well as support staff. The compensation committee, I'm pleased to say, considered several things when we reviewed this. One was clearly the increased challenges and demands of all of our staff throughout all of our buildings, including administration as well as all staff in all buildings. Due to the support received from many others in our system, the pandemic has certainly created those challenges, and we have had support in many ways, whether it's federal dollars that help in other operating ways, or just simply the efforts of all the people that make up MCS. The work that's been done by the district and throughout the district has created a stability for MCS in a time of instability. And that work we did not think should go unnoticed. And we continue, as Brad mentioned just a second ago, to put money in the rainy day fund. And, you know, I certainly, as I can't speak for all the board, but I'm very proud of the effort that's gone in to be able to do that, because it wasn't that long ago where there was zero in the rainy day fund, and I think you could even say there was a hole there based upon the operations of the system. So with that as a basis, our recommendation is to double that amount to $2,000 per full-time employee. That includes all parties, and as we've traditionally done in the past, half of that amount would go to part-timers and half of that amount would go to those hired, you know, partway through the year, and I think we prorate some of that. So I would make that motion to amend the recommendation that was in the packet from $1,000 to $2,000.
Great.
Second. Or am I making the motion? You made the motion?
He made the motion.
So I second the motion.
Any other questions, comments?
Amazing.
Yeah, it's great. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
I'd like to add just two things if I could. One is that just to reiterate, the ability to be able to do this is significant. The comp committee did not feel that this would put the school system in any detrimental position. And secondly, I think, I hope that you all would join me in making sure that the people who are working in every building need to know that we appreciate all that's happened. You know, the school system is not us, the school system at all. The school system are those people every day, whether they're serving food, whether they're cleaning, whether they're an aide, whether they're teacher, whether administrator. You know, we're putting together a great team, and I hope, and if you would please, Dr. K, please pass that along to the entire system on behalf of the board, unless anybody would disagree with that. So.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly echo that.
Yes.
We plan to get a message out tonight, I believe. We'll share something. And again, this is for people that are hired by Muncie Community Schools. I know we have lots of contracted groups, and unfortunately, that isn't a contracted group, is with our employees.
All right, Mr. Durone,
Keep
back to
going.
you.
Yes, thank you. Setting a record for resolutions tonight. This is for food service project. We sought bids for this particular project for this improvement at Muncie Central High School for the cafeteria kitchen area. Tremendous opportunity to upgrade this area that is, it's my understanding, I'm not sure had ever been updated for those who have a history there at Muncie Central High School to look at the floor. This is all made possible through our fund balance that we have in the food service fund, almost $3 million in that fund, working with the DOE school finance because they keep telling us we have too much money in there, so we had to have a spend down plan to telling us that we have to spend money for improvements in our buildings. This is a good way to use that money towards food service equipment. The floor underneath it, this will also include tables, chairs, It'll look, we'll get some renderings to be able to pass out to the board that'll, tables won't just be round tables or rectangular tables. It would be more of perhaps, if you'd say, a college-type look or a cafeteria-type look of multi-type tables. That's the thing that's happening now in the world of food service. So we're going to take advantage of that, take advantage of this one-time opportunity to do this, at least. And we work by having the specs and designs created. And we received the bids for this project, and we'd like to award the bid tonight to CT and Design and Equipment from Indianapolis, Indiana, $1,677,854.97. So yes, that's $1,006,000. And also, we have some floor abatement that we have to do underneath that floor. What that means is we have Indiana epoxy flooring and then AMT air management, because there's some asbestos mastic underneath the actual tile floor. That work would all be done in the summer. That would be considered like a tinted environment where they tint off with plastic, and they use almost like, it looks like a walk-behind carpet cleaner, if you will, that just strips it down and bundles it up and packs it away where there's no entry into the air environment when they take that old floor out. So we're certainly very pleased to offer this to the school board tonight and ask for board approval for this project. They would start this work in the summer and expecting to finish sometime around fall break. So in other words, it'll be ready for us to start school. But there's certain things they said they can't get done because of long lead times. That's a common theme on these projects. But at least we can get the project kicked off and started. This includes so much equipment here all throughout that kitchen area, but it'll really benefit Muncie Central High School. So looking for a motion to approve.
Excellent.
I have a quick question. This is very exciting. Are we still going to be able to provide breakfast and lunch at the start of school?
Oh, yeah, yes, yeah, yep. Still, yeah, we should not have to disrupt.
And so
Yeah.
I have one too, like Fund 800, so 2.9, is that?
Right.
What does that consist of?
Yeah, okay. The 800 fund, that's the food service fund only. And the way it works with the Department of Ed's School Nutrition Department, because we receive federal funds for that, we can only have, in that balance, you can't carry a balance more than 3 months of your spending. So for us, about 3 months of your spending, it was probably almost $700,000, $600,000 to $700,000. It fluctuates. So it provides us, and we've been on this targeted spend down plan kind of during the pandemic. When we were first identified that our balances were too high, the DOE, obviously in the pandemic, you couldn't really do things because schools were closed. So they allowed us to work on our spend down plan to start implementing it. So they've been very easy to work with. But how does the money get in there? It gets in there from the receipts of sales in the buildings from a la carte or things such as that, because our kids right now still remain on free. And all the federal money that we get for all that reimbursement has really, really helped, certainly over these last 2 years as well.
Yeah.
So,
Brad, just a point of clarification, we don't go through the same bid process that we're about to go through for this, is that correct?
I didn't catch that.
We're getting ready to go through a couple of notice
Sure.
but we don't have to do that with this project,
Well,
is that correct?
we did.
We did,
We
okay.
did put out a notice. We did put out a notice for bids.
Okay.
Yeah, we did.
Just,
So
okay,
we-
I just wanted to make sure we
So we
were
did.
following, because I
Yep,
don't
we
remember
did go through
it,
that
so.
same process. Yep,
Perfect.
we did. Yep.
If I may, just for clarity, most of our funds come from the Department of Ed, but our federal funds actually are coming from the Department of Agriculture.
Yeah.
So that they still funnel through the Department of Education, and the totally separate fund number. And the only thing we're allowed to do with those funds would be to enhance something that has to do with your food service. So through equipment, and this is where we're lucky that they're allowing us to do like the floor and tables. So if someone says, well, wait, why are we doing that? Why couldn't we do something else? It's very, very strict rules on how you can spend that money.
Thank you.
And on the equipment, do we have a portal for the state of Indiana that gives us a discount on buying that equipment? E&I or
There
whatever
is,
it's
there is a qualified purchase bid list on a numerous variety of equipment. As far as this equipment here, I mean, we took it from what the bidder had accumulated, which is very similar to what we had accumulated for some improvements we did over at Muncie Northside.
Okay. Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, Westview.
Okay, thank you. Also in your board packet, we're asking permission to advertise for construction manager as constructor for the Westview renovation project. This would be a very similar process to what we went through for EWA as well as Southview Elementary. By going through this process, this renovation project would be funded with federal ESSER funds for the Westview Elementary. We have been working with Schmitz Architects as well as Ice Millers, Stephen Jones, and Jane Herndon on this process, which is also very similar to what we have done before for the EWA and Southview project. Before we went through this process that we have here in front of you, I did seek questions with council if that was the same process we wanted to follow. Are we able to amend the current contract that we had with EWA and Southview? And they said no. So we could not do that, even though we were still renovating a building, even though it was in Muncie, even though anyway, so we're going to follow the process that we have followed before when we sought bids or proposals for this. So anyway, we're just asking the board to approve this process, request for proposals. We'll have a legal bids being posted April 21 and 28th. We'll expect to receive proposals for this construction manager service on May 9th, and we expect to then award the construction manager contract as constructor at a board meeting on May 24th. So that is what we're asking the board permission for tonight.
One thing to add about this process, Brad and I were talking, we use it a lot at Ball State University. What I really like about this process, it's very efficient. That's why you see all the good success at Eve Washington and other places. But it allows us to encourage the XBE and participation, whether it be a WBE or MBE, which is what this process helps us do. And so we've gotten that with this current contract. So it's really good in that regard.
Excellent. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, we're moving on from the Rome show.
I can't help it.
Riveting.
It's riveting. I know it's riveting, and at least I'm not standing at the podium, huh? Just able to keep it going. So we'll keep it going.
All right, the next item on the agenda is for the board to hold a project hearing on the proposed construction projects.
Okay.
If you're interested in speaking at the hearing, please make sure you have signed the sign-in sheet at the back of the room. Okay, not too late for that now, which should include your name and address. After presentation by the administration and its advisors, there will be an opportunity for the public to make comments about the project. At the hearing, we will ask that each person limit their comments to 3 minutes and that the topic be limited to the proposed projects under consideration. The notice of the project hearing was published as legally required on April 1st, 2022 in the Muncie Star Press. So at this time, I will ask Dr. Kay to explain the purpose of this hearing.
Pursuant to Indiana Code 2026-737, before a school corporation may spend more than $1 million to build, repair, or alter a school building that will be financed by a lease or bonds, it must hold a public hearing at which explanations of the potential value of the projects to the school corporation and the community are given. These public hearings and the adoption of resolution is the very beginning of the legal process. These resolutions establish the financial terms for the proposed project.
So we'll now hear from Dr. K about the process of determining and communicating the projects to the community and the need for the project.
Okay, Brad, I'll let you.
Right, okay. Thank you. As far as how we got here to this point to do this particular project, we had a facility committee that did meet periodically for over 2 years. And at different times, I think when I look around the room at the board members present, a lot of you served on that committee and had a lot of input at different times. And we did it, that was during a lot of pandemic WebExes, if I remember right. But the point was, we were trying to identify facility needs and more urgent facility items that needed to be done in the district, of items of urgent improvement and things that maybe were not quite as urgent, but yet items that needed to be addressed. And what we came up with this list for this project were things that were probably considered more urgent in terms of items identified on the Muncie Central High School campus, as well as the field house regarding some heating and cooling issues, the football field, the football stadium, as well as some roofing issues, also some flooring issues throughout the district. So that in itself makes up this particular project. And I guess I will stop there, and unless I need to keep going on the next page of the script.
Keep going.
Keep going? Okay. Okay. Let me, we're going to talk about some of the, I guess I have talked about the projects that we were going to do. The expected timing of the construction of this renovation. We were going to do this, this process. The process that we immediately start going into right after this particular legal step, in another 2 weeks, we would have another legal hearing for the proposed lease and such. But we would start the design work and a lot of behind the scenes work with our architect, the landscape architect, their work to help us with the specs for this particular project for the area at the football field, the football stadium, and how also, if you talk about heating and cooling for the field house, how that impacts the area right there beside the field house as well. So, and really just as a little bit of backstory from our facility committee, you know, we have another probably $12 to $15 million of other items that will have to be addressed in due time also. It's just these were the ones that needed to be looked at first. The field house, for those who don't, or the football stadium, and for those who don't remember, 1950 is the cement football stadium. Some of us can sit around this table and say they played on it or they were in the locker room. It's in need. It's a need of a lot of tender loving care that is just at that point, it's had a good run. And because the way it sits up against the berm on the Army's Corps of Engineer on the west side, that's why it takes some professionals, landscape architects, to look at that. Would like to make everything, nothing below ground anymore, nothing below ground, no below ground locker rooms that leak. That's not a good thing anymore. Through this process, through our architects, they've helped us identify other particular locations that maybe we would go watch or view some other examples at some other school districts. They have asked us to talk about some of those, whether it be Oak Hill, Delta, Bluffton High School. Those are some within short driving distance where they've done the same thing of looking at tearing down cement stadiums and putting in a different field. So that's a little bit of background for the football and the football field and track. The 1928 field house, you start getting into the heating system, you have to start getting into the electrical system. So that's why there's a lot of improvement can be made there. All this work that we're talking about has nothing to do with the current work that's going on at the field house, fixing brick up high. That's a whole separate project. For our floor covering issues, that was in the Muncie Central High School. We have a lot of carpet that needs to be replaced with either with carpet or other hard surface floor. So that's bubbled to the top with the urgency from Dr. K to help us out to identify that, or probably anyone else who spends time at Muncie Central. Also, when we included some roofing projects on this list, we wanted to make sure that your roofing projects are never done when you have 9 school sites in 2 or 3 other buildings. They're just never done, so that's why those were included. I'll try to get us back here on the script here if I can. I'm going to act as our municipal advisor. Baker Tilly has provided all the information to me. In terms of how we're going to do this, it has to be done through selling bonds. Selling bonds, issuing debt, which represents the hard and soft cost. Hard costs of construction costs. Soft costs are usually considered cost of issuance, principal, estimated interest, lease rental payments, interest rates. Those are the types of things that make up a project. This project that we're looking at is about $5.8 million because it includes about $4.7 million of what we'd call hard cost and the balance of $1.1 million being the soft costs. The other thing I'd like to mention at least is how the Baker Tilly financial folks expected this project, how it would be funded, and what we would expect from a tax rate standpoint. We have approximately over $7 million of long-term debt falling off our debt schedule in 2023. So that will be paid off that'll go away. That's your 2014 GO bonds. So that'll be fully paid off in 2023. So what this would represent new debt being added back to the Muncie Schools long-term debt schedules, and that's why this would slot in on the debt schedule, and they'll structure this over a 12-year payback where that they would expect the tax rate to be tax neutral. So in other words, no higher is their expectation in 2023 than what it would be in 2022. That's the goal of the financial municipal advisors here, Baker Tilly, and that's how they'd like to structure this debt. So in other words, structure this whole project to where it's not impacting incrementally a taxpayer in Muncie. So that's a positive thing about this is, yes, we have an opportunity to make some improvements that are much needed, and yet trying to do it in a way when we have a very large chunk of debt falling off the school district debt. So at this point now, I'll kick it back over to Dr. Keith O'Neill to see if you have anyone from the public who needs to comment about this capital project.
Thank you. Any public comment? Anybody want to comment? Okay, well, moving on.
Okay.
I want you to say one more time that there will be no impact.
That is the plan. There will be no tax rate impact.
There you go.
For this particular project, for the capital project improvement at the Muncie Central High School, as well as the field house for the football field, football stadium, with the way they will structure the debt, because we'll have enough debt falling off in 2023.
Great.
And with that being said, there's only 2 resolutions then that we're asking the school board to approve tonight that were also included in your board packet. One is called resolution number, let's see if they call it resolution number 1 or resolution number 2. Oh, let's see. Resolution A and B. Okay, there we go. Project Resolution A, which just allows us to continue the project. Exhibit A, the project resolution, where you see the maximum costs. You'll see the maximum cost listed under Exhibit A for potential leases. That's not the final cost. Those are only maximums. And Exhibit B allows us to reimburse ourselves when we incur expenses between now and before we issue bonds. Now, why that's important is we have to start incurring expenses tomorrow by having to have surveys done and having to have, starting to work with the landscape architects and soil borings and things such as that. So we will incur expenses before bonds would be sold. Bonds would be sold in the fourth quarter of 2022. So it allows you to get your books in order. That's what the purpose of Exhibit B is. So those are the two resolutions we're looking to approve tonight.
Excellent. Well, I'll entertain a motion for Resolution A. We'll do these separately.
So moved.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right. Resolution B, to reimburse. Another motion.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, both passed. We're good.
Dr. O'Neill?
Yes.
I think this just, being a finance guy, this is just, I think, really critical. And that is that we're in a position that the goal would always be for us to keep our debt service as constant as possible and still be able to make the improvements we need in our buildings. This allows us to do that. So we will continue to issue bonds, and we will want to continue to issue bonds so that from a public finance strategy standpoint, we're able to do improvements as much as possible when we need them. But there may be some times where that won't be true, that we may have to go out and consider bonding. But again, I just want to compliment Brad and Dr. K and the team, because it wasn't that long ago that we probably couldn't have done this. And I think it's just a real testament to the stability that we now have on the finance side. So, and it's also part of a strategy. So this isn't let's see what we can do this year and worry about it next year. This is part of the strategy to be able to ensure the buildings that we have and the capital needs we have get taken care of when they're supposed to. So,
And really,
well
one
done.
final thought I forgot to enclose was, in case you want to know, well, how much long-term debt do we have now? How much long-term debt do we have? At December 31st, 2021, we had 29.6 million of outstanding long-term debt. And at the end of 2022, it's down to 25.8. At the end of 2023, it's down to 18.7. So this is before we would add on the new 5.8 million. So we're scheduled for those big $7 million payments in 2023, which knocks down our debt about $11 million in these next 2 years. So,
which is part of why the rainy day fund's so important.
Right.
To ensure that we continue to put money back for those needs. So I think it's just a job well done.
And to your point, Dave, the rule of thumb, and what's our assessed value of our properties? Half of.
Our assessed value for the school district's a little over 1.6 billion.
So multiply that times 0.5% or 1%. That's the rule of thumb in the industry for putting back and maintaining your facilities. That's a big number. To your point, this is not a one-time thing. Right. It was put off for a number of years. We're now addressing it. And what's remarkable is if you add the GO bonds plus this, plus what we've done with the ESSER funds, we've gotten a lot of value out of not implying a load on the local citizens. And we've gotten a lot done, and we need to continue to do more. So this is not a one time. We're going to continue to do this in a strategic way. So
well done.
Good job. Yeah.
Well done. Thanks. All right, excellent. All right, we're down to dialogue of the board. Anything from the board?
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just have a quick thought about some of the ideas that our awesome EWA fifth graders threw out there. I love those ideas, and I don't know what we need to do to maybe make some of those happen, but I love the idea of a middle school tennis team. I know we have a great program at the high school, so to create that feeder system makes perfect sense to me. So I don't know what kind of support they need from us or whose arm we got to twist, maybe Miss Gudger, to get that to happen. And then the preview day, I thought that was awesome. What a great idea. I don't know how we could set up, I don't know how we could expose them to all of those extracurriculars before they were there. But
so we have those orientation camps, but what we could add is we could bring in the arts and music folks and our coaches to some of those days and have them talk a little bit about the sports and because those days are fun days, right? We're not giving them tests or anything. We're doing scavenger hunts and figuring out the school. So that'd be a great day to do that. It's a good idea.
And I'm sure that we can figure out the tennis team also.
That'd be cool.
Excellent.
So I
I
just
was a
wanted.
tennis player, so hey,
Oh,
let's do it.
were you? I didn't know that. I didn't know you
I
played
was.
tennis. I didn't know that.
Anderson Highland, all conference.
I didn't know that.
Glory. Yeah. Sorry about that.
So I wanted to just say that on March the 29th, I went before our Muncie City Council and to lobby for a nomination to be reappointed to the school board. And so I just wanted to say thank you to Councilman Robinson and the 9-member the council there. They fired their questions, and I hope that I answered them to their satisfactory, and I hope to you all too. But I want to say thank you for all of you being in the room to support me, and those who weren't, who wrote the letters of support. I just counted a privilege and an honor to kind of serve, not kind of, but to serve with our schools. It raised me, my kids are being raised, my parents, right? So it is really an honor to be able to help move our district into a place that we can be proud of, and we are proud of it, and we have stormed, we're norming, and I just want to see us perform. And so I'm just thankful for the opportunity, and hopefully I'll be able to see you all for another 4 years. So thank you.
Excellent. Any other comments? All right, do we have any media here? Any media? No? All right, well. Motion to adjourn?
So, second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
Congratulations. Good job.
All right. I know, what can I say? Just kind of messed my streak up.